it's just going to be 1-0. Match day in the Premier League, it's Manchester City versus Wolves. Lineup looks pretty standard from City. Potential issue of Zinchenko and Laporte, the left side of City's defence, up against Adama Traore, who is probably going to either have one of those games where he plays brilliantly and he scores and creates some wonderful goals, or hopefully, more likely, he'll be a big XG merchant and he'll, in theory, get a lot of XG and in theory get a lot of expected assists, but ultimately it leads to nothing. I'm going to predict a City victory, as always, and I'm going to say City will win this one, but it's going to be tight. Wolves are good defensively. It's just going to be 1-0. Goodness me. Next shot you're going to see is me at the Etihad. Before I do that, I'm going to do that annoying thing YouTubers do. Most of the people watching my videos don't subscribe to me. What are you playing at? If you're new, you enjoy football content, this is the channel for you. It's not just Man City content, it's just football generally. Make sure to hit subscribe. I do match day vlogs, but I do loads of other things as well, including in-depth analysis. In fact, I think the next video on the channel will be an analysis of why Everton are so bad and why they've been so bad for about a decade now. But anyway, without further ado, let's get back to the match day vlog. I'll see you at the Etihad. Wait, is Sterling taking it?
Come on, Sterling.
Okay. Come on, Raheem. Come on, mate. Come on. Get in. Yeah. Calm. Never in doubt. Go on. Raheem Sterling is tougher than limbs. Man City stay on top of the league thanks to a Raheem Sterling penalty, and it's going to be the referees and the refereeing decisions that were made in the game that will make the headlines rather than the play. We'll be reviewing the away fans, we'll be looking at the game and looking at all the crucial decisions in the game as well, and then ending on the player ratings. It's raining as well. It's Manchester, who'd have thought? Starting with the Wolves away support, I thought they were fantastic in terms of how many people went to the stadium, in terms of how loud they were, how consistent they were in terms of their singing. Very similar to how West Ham were the other week actually, so I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10, same as West Ham. Let's talk about the first half, which was awful. Awful, so boring. I barely recorded any footage from the first half because it was such a bad display of football. Wolves came to sit back as we knew they would and tried to use Traore on the break. Fortunately, didn't really work out because Traore had one of those days where nothing really happened for him, and even when he had the chance to do something, City players just fouled him on the halfway line, prevent anything. But the story of the first half was Raul Jimenez. What an idiot, getting 2 yellow cards in 2 minutes. First one's a foul, it's a yellow card, then he decides to get in the way of a free kick. It's a blatant second yellow card's a yellow card, you're off the pitch. What did confuse me was that the Wolves fans were applauding him, like clapping as he was being sent off and walking off. He just probably cost you the game. Why would you applaud him? And it was definitely a red card, so I don't really understand that one. But Jimenez made it incredibly hard for Wolves because then they went down to 10 men and just made it attack versus defence even more in the second half. There was no way the second half was going to be anywhere near as bad as the first half, partly because of the red card, but also because City's XG in the first half was actually the lowest since the Crystal Palace game when they lost 2-0, so it could only go up basically. And in that second half, it was all action down the right-hand side. I thought Cancelo was the best player on the pitch, probably, and him and Sterling on the right-hand side were definitely City's 2 best players. Ultimately, it resulted in City getting a penalty. Let's talk about this. Was it a penalty? I haven't actually seen it back. It seemed to hit the upper side of his armpit. So it's already a bit sketchy there, but it did seem to be one of those where it was like a 50-50 either way. You've seen them given, you've seen them not given. And the point of VAR is to eliminate clear and obvious errors. So probably, I'm assuming the decision was stick with the original decision rather than use VAR to overturn it because it's a contentious one, it's maybe 50-50. In terms of VAR being used, it's probably the correct decision. When I first saw it, I thought it was a penalty. But in any event, City 100% deserve to win this one, and the stats are incredibly one-sided. Especially after going down to 10 men, Wolves offered nothing, literally nothing, up until like the 94th minute or something. We'll talk about Ederson later. Wolves offered literally nothing. They were just even more defensive. They played even more within themselves, makes sense, because they were down to 10 men. And City 100% deserve to win this game. So don't let anyone tell you that, City had to rely on a refereeing decision to win this game. They deserve to win the game. So I'm just going to cross this road. Last thing on refereeing decisions. God, Wolves are probably the worst side to have come to the Etihad this season. And I don't mean in terms of, style of play, because actually they provided some good counter-attacks at times. But God, their players were so dive happy, and they kept rolling around on the floor like they've been shot every single time. There was this one instance in particular, I think it's their number 27, Saiss, I don't know how you pronounce it, then Wolves number 27, on Sterling. He apparently got a poke in and around his face or something, and he was down for about 5 minutes. I just didn't understand what was going on with Wolves. Ultimately, City got the win, so yeah, deserved to win for City, and let's do the player ratings now. Ederson made a vital last-minute save. Because that would have been so annoying if Wolves somehow managed to scrape a draw when they totally didn't deserve one. So Ederson did great, I thought, right at the end. Good distribution throughout. He gets an 8. Cancelo, man of the match. He also gets an 8, not quite enough to get a 9, but he was so good. Again, today actually, it was his defending that I was more impressed with. He was still very good offensively, because I say most of City's best play came down that right-hand side with Cancelo and Sterling. Cancelo's so good defensively, kept making so many good tackles. I'd be interested to know what Cancelo's tackling stats were today, because I can think of at least 2 or 3 occasions where dangerous break by Wolves and Cancelo just dispossesses them, just makes it look so simple. Brilliant play by Cancelo, who just seems to be getting better and better. Best fullback in the world currently. Laporte, Diaz, Zinchenko. I thought Laporte was probably the best out of those 3. I'll give them all 7 though. Bernardo, Gundogan, great as always. 7. Rodri in 8, kept it nice and tidy. In midfield, as Rodri does, knew when to foul as well when Traore was getting a bit too frisky. Good foul. Grealish, I thought, did struggle at times. He really should have scored. They've got to give him a 6, but in general, he progressed the ball quite well. Jesus, sort of all right. I think I'll give him a 7. And then Sterling, the goal scorer, match winner, top of the league, he gets an 8. The Sterling penalty was one of those where I was really surprised when he came up to take it, to be fair. And I've never seen him take a penalty like that either. He just like placed it really softly down the middle. Fair play to Sterling. That was his 100th Prem goal, and apparently Ederson's 100th clean sheet. City win, 3 points, City top of the league, 1-0 to City. Lovely times. I'll see you next time.